So I get it. There are snobs in every hobby, and of course there are very expensive fountain pens. And there are aspirational fountain pens and grail fountain pens. But I'm sure you've run into those individuals that are neither impressed nor interested in your fountain pen unless you've spent the equivalent of a mortgage payment on it. These are people who feel that their personal preferences are the rule and that anything else outside of that is just simply not good enough. Now, you know that on this channel, we don't care what other people think of our fountain pens, but nevertheless, I thought it would be an interesting mental exercise to come up with a list of the top 5 fountain pens that are completely snob-proof. So at the end of this video, I'm going to confess my own bit of snobbery, and I'm sure a lot of you will come back at me about this. So it should be a lot of fun. For this list, I chose ones that have a fantastic history, design, and unique characteristics about them that I feel that the broad fountain pen community at large hold in very high esteem. I excluded some pens that I just found to be unreliable, and I think they'll end up on another list. But I think we came up with 5 solid choices, and let's begin with a fountain pen that hasn't been on a list in a long time, but I love so much. These are made in Germany. This is the Kaweco Sport. Ah, Kaweco Sport. How I love thee. These are very light and interesting travel fountain pens that are perfect as everyday writers. They're sort of hidden in their little turtle shell, and then you unscrew them, put them together, and it becomes a full-size, very light, very interesting pen. What I love about these is that they come in seemingly limitless colors that will suit any mood, any person's preferences, from the bright and pastel to the more subdued and studious. These pens are also brilliant across their entire range, whether they're made of bronze, brass, or even the basic plastic. It's really the basic model that I'm focusing on this list, and I feel like a beautiful colored, light Kaweco Sport in any situation is the perfect fountain pen. It's easy to carry. You can put it in the coin pocket of your jeans. You can toss it in your bag. You can put it anywhere. In fact, these are the kind of pens that you probably want to sort of put in different places around your life so that there is always a wonderful fountain pen handy. And at around $25 US, you can do that. So it's a brilliant pen with a fantastic nib. I find Kaweco nibs to be very reliable, very easy to swap out to simply screw in another. And I absolutely love the calligraphy nib, that 1.1 stub of theirs. I think it's a fantastic writer. I have it on many of my Kaweco Sports, and I simply cannot get enough of it. In fact, personally, I feel that the wider the nib gets on Kaweco, the better they get. The broad nibs are brilliant and everything else. Another amazing thing about these Kaweco Sports is that their roots go back 100 years, so there's a bunch of history and heritage in these pens. It just makes it that much more interesting to write with them, and they're just fantastic performers. So if someone is giving you grief over writing with a pen that costs under $30, you can ignore them, safe in the knowledge that this is a fantastically designed pen whose design has stood the test of time over this last century and seems like it will be with us for many years to come. So this is an absolutely perfect choice for snob-proof fountain pens. My next choice for snob-proof fountain pens is the Lamy Safari. I bet this was on your bingo card for me. Sure, the Lamy Safari is so close to my heart. It's one of my favorite pens. It is an absolutely brilliant writer, but what makes it snob-proof? Well, so many things. I mean, it was designed by Wolfgang Fabian in the 1980s. It was such a hit from its inception until now, and much is made of its Bauhaus design, but it is undeniable that this pen is firmly rooted in 1980s design language. Think of the Lamborghini Countach from that era, or the Giorgetta Giugiaro watches of Seiko that were done. It has that kind of aesthetic, from its flat sides to its rounded square edges, to that amazing chrome bent clip that sort of looks like a paper clip adapted to the pen. Even the font on the barrel of the pen is very reminiscent of that era. It's just absolutely brilliant. Maybe that's why I like it so much, that it reminds me of the design of my youth. Coincidentally enough, my favorite nib for a Lamy Safari is their calligraphy nib, which is their 1.1 stub, and it's a fantastic writer in the line variation. It just sort of cuts such a beautiful downstroke, but it doesn't sacrifice any smoothness. So I absolutely adore that nib. You also have the cursive nib that's interesting and a little different. It also comes in a wide range of colors. Personally, I am trying to find a terracotta original color one. I just think that's absolutely brilliant. The material feels somewhat like Lego material, and that makes it very hearty and probably something you don't want to step on. So it's a brilliant pen, brilliantly crafted, a fantastic writer, near perfect proportion, very amazing weight. It has a converter, the Z28 converter, that you can use for it. And personally, with that sort of design legacy, with the impact it has had in the fountain pen community, with the love we all have for it, many of us have for it, and at least respect and admiration, that it is absolutely bomb-proof, snob-proof as a fountain pen. And if anyone has a problem with any of your fountain pens, they can email me. Our next affordable and snob-proof option is the TWSBI Eco. You can get this pen for around $35 US, and boy, you get a lot of pen with this. From their inception, TWSBI has made such a mark on the fountain pen landscape. They've really established themselves as a tremendous value for what you get. A reliable demonstrator that you could strip down, take wholly apart, clean completely for that price point. It's absolutely amazing. And they use Jowo nibs, and they're smooth to perfection. I've yet to have one of these pens that didn't write absolutely brilliantly out of the box. They're also easy to swap nibs, easy to use, and certainly give you the full fountain pen experience. If somebody asks me which fountain pen should I start with, and I say, would you like to try a lot of inks right from the bottle? And they say yes. I say start with the TWSBI Eco. It gives you a similar fountain pen experience as a Visconti Homo Sapien or a Montblanc 149. Piston filled, reliable, smooth, and fun to write with at $35. What more could you ask for? Is someone going to give you problems that occasionally I hear they crack? Well, sure, that could be one chink in their armor, but I can say it's never happened to me, at least not yet. But these TWSBI Eco pens, even though they're a bit brutal in their design, they're certainly not a soaring, inspiring design language going on here. They're very utilitarian, but what utility you get. An incredible performing pen, incredible smoothness, great dimensions, very comfortable in the hand for a variety of users. So I can't say enough. If you show up with the TWSBI around me, I am going to be thoroughly impressed. And if somebody tries to give you grief for yours, you just remind yourself that you have one of the best performing fountain pens that give you a tremendous value at only 35 USD. What more could you ask for? So stay tuned because you won't believe this next choice. My next Snob-Proof pen is frankly a pen that could fool someone from a distance. They might think it's a fountain pen that costs much more than the $20, $25 or so that it costs. This is the Pilot Metropolitan. Oh, Pilot, I love you so much. You guys know I have so much affection for Pilot, and the reason is that they have such a varied product line. From the Kakuno that costs, what, $6 all the way up to Namiki pens in the thousands, and their quality and consistency across the broad range is very, very impressive. And this is really encapsulated in this Pilot Metropolitan, a very affordable fountain pen that's designed to be beautiful, seamless, and I would say frankly perfect for the workplace, especially with the darker, the chrome models and whatnot. And if you want something a little bit more fun, there are patterns and things in brighter colors that could punch up your creative space or your academic setting. So there is definitely a color or pattern that's going to suit you and your lifestyle, and that's what I love about them. And of course you get a fantastically reliable fountain pen with a brilliant Pilot nib at a fantastic price. Now these have a squeeze converter in them that isn't my favorite type of converter, but you can't argue that they're not reliable and easy to use. So you simply immerse your nib, squeeze it, you're all set. Maybe squeeze it a couple times for overkill. But it definitely will work, and you can fill it from a bottle or use cartridges. But these are brilliant fountain pens that are very much inoculated against the slings and arrows of those that might cast these kind of comments against more affordable fountain pens, because it's a Pilot, it's brilliant, it's well made, and you have selections that you can show your good taste by picking the perfect fountain pen for you. So I think the Pilot Metropolitan is wholly and absolutely snob-proof. My final choice before my big confession at the end is the Platinum Preppy. Platinum Preppy. $5.50 for this magnificent pen, and you get so much. So this pen I really wanted to put on this list because you may be someone who's looking to get into fountain pens and you want something that's just appropriate and works, and you don't want to invest a lot. And for this $6 or so with tax, you get so much fountain pen. The Platinum Preppy is so much fun, so delightful, such a distillation of fountain pen features into an affordable form. For one thing, it can be modified to be used as an eyedropper, where you use the barrel of the pen as your ink reservoir, and that gives you a near limitless supply of ink. It takes a very long time to make your way through an entire barrel full of ink, which is brilliant. Or you can use the Platinum cartridges. Now they are proprietary, so I find myself reusing them with syringes. Nevertheless, as a pen, this pen writes brilliantly. It's a joy to use. It's certainly fun with all the colors that are available. It's also very, very inexpensive, so it's kind of nice to carry some with you, and if someone's interested in a fountain pen, you could give them one. But for purposes of this list, I feel if anyone turns their nose up at the Platinum Preppy, it's them that are missing out, because this is a fantastic fountain pen with a magical nib. I don't know how Platinum makes such a great writing nib at this price point. It's just a testament to Platinum's ability to manufacture a high quality nib at a very low price point, and you are the beneficiary of this. So personally, I feel the Platinum Preppy is absolutely brilliant and absolutely unassailable. Like, no one could say a bad word about the Preppy. It's just so good for so little, just such a tremendous value. So I had to put it on my list of top 5 Snob-Proof fountain pens. So what do you think of this list? Is there something else you'd put on there? Wait a second, I told you I'd make a confession. Okay, I will. So I do have a bit of snobbery about Jinhao fountain pens, and only because they've let me down so many times. I wanted to put the Jinhao X159 on this list. I love the way it looks. I think it's a beautiful fountain pen. It's a lovely aesthetic substitute for the Montblanc 149, but I bought 4 of them, and I think 3 of them were kind of bad. I mean, 2 of them were terrible, and 1 was just okay, and then 1 was brilliant. If it had gone the other way, I think I'd feel that way about this pen, but the problem is, if a pen doesn't write, I mean, that's the simplest thing we're asking from it. So I'm really hoping at some point Jinhao ups their game and just makes a bit more reliable fountain pens, because I would love to recommend the Jinhao X159 to everyone, but until I see a more reliable track record with nibs, I just cannot. And it's a bit of snobbery, possibly on my part, but it really has to prove itself to me before I can recommend it to you. And that's kind of a shame. They've let me down so many times that perhaps I've become a bit of a snob in regards to Jinhao. But you can decide that for yourself, and let me know in the comments. And if you've enjoyed this video, please send it to someone else who you think might enjoy it as well. And if you've reached this point, subscribe. This is what we do here. We go to a lot of different places and we have a lot of fun with different ideas, different lists, and different concepts in regards to fountain pens. Also, membership is available, so if you'd like to become a member of this channel, do that as well. For Cognoscenti and Illuminati members, we have a pen pal group, which is a lot of fun. So I make new videos all the time, so I can promise you we will see each other again very soon, further up the road. So take care.